The following program is a production of HEW Entertainment and contains views, opinions, commentaries, and content that may offend some subscribers of this show. Listener discretion is advised.
It's that time once again for HEW Entertainment Radio.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Hosted by Jonathan Clarke.
The beat! The man! You gotta beat the man! Whoa!
Be sure to join us in the live chat room during the show.
Hulkamania is running wild like it's never ran before.
Call us on one of our request lines. If you live in the United States, call us at 1-641-985-7800, box number 3729288. If you're from Canada and would like to call us from 1-647-724-4194, box number 3729288. Long distance charges may apply in some areas.
I've been the world heavyweight champion 10 times.
Or you can always drop us a line at MySpace, myspace.com/HEW Entertainment.
And you will rest in peace.
Emailing us works for you too. Email us hewwrestling@hotmail.com.
I am a wrestling god. JBL.
And now, without any further ado, here is your host of HEW Entertainment Radio on the official website of HEW Entertainment, Jonathan Clarke.
The champ is here!
Streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. HEW Entertainment Radio is inviting you to comment on our video blogs, join the conversation, and like us. So what are you waiting for? Log on and listen now. Don't miss out on any of the action. Download our app on the App Store, Google Play, and the official website of HEW Entertainment. Once you download and install it, you'll get caught up on news, YouTube videos, and more. Download it now.
Are you ready? You think you can tell us what to do? You think you can tell us what to wear? You think that you're better? Well, you better get ready. Bow to the masters. Break it down. Degenerate into something cool. We just got tired of doing what you told us to do. That's a break, boy. Yeah, that's a break, little man. Break it down. Degeneration up. Think you can tell me what to do? Know who you're talking to? Well, you better get used to the way the ball bounces. I see what you got, it measures in ounces. But that's a break, boy. Yeah, that's a break, little man. Break it down. Think you're right enough. Think you're a big man? I'll treat you like you're a little man. Don't tell me what it's like to be half a man. It must break your heart to see what I am, what? That's a break, boy. Yeah, that's a break, little man. Break it down. Think you're right enough.
I have to take a few minutes and apologize to every fan of Chyna who I know exists out there, because you would have thought by now I would have posted a video concerning her death on my YouTube channel, but I haven't until now because I have great difficulty. I've always had great difficulty in telling the listeners of my show or the readers of my column how I feel about every time we hear about a wrestler's death. Now I know this has kind of become a consistent habit over the last 4 or 5 years. Just a couple of years ago we heard about the death of Dusty Rhodes. A few years before that, Paul Bearer, the Macho Man Randy Savage, the year or so before that. So we've kind of gotten used to hearing about all these deaths, but every time you hear about a wrestler's death, especially those that you can't help but feel have been a part of your entire life after having been around the wrestling business for what feels like forever for me, it's never easy to talk about something like this, and especially with how many people have been affected by Chyna's death. The overwhelming support that Chyna has received from her fans, from her friends, have been unbelievable, and I think that this really blows my mind out of proportion. Every time we hear about a wrestler's death, it's like the wrestling business kind of comes together as one and shows their support and their love for somebody that they may have worked with for their entire life. And when you're talking about people like Triple H, X-Pac, Billy Gunn, Road Dogg, Generation X, Eddie Guerrero, Mark Henry, I mean, the love that people have shown for Chyna comes nothing short of overwhelming, and that's something that's going to be remembered about this pivotal point in the life of Chyna and the lives of everybody that were affected by Chyna and having worked with her. I mean, Chyna went a long way in the 4 or 5 years that she was with WWE, from 1997 till at least 2001. She gave us so many incredible moments and matches with people that you never thought you'd see Chyna work with: Chris Jericho, Hardcore Holly, Mark Henry, Eddie Guerrero, Triple H, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, X-Pac. So many incredible moments and matches were given to us by Chyna. You just can't determine one of your favorite Chyna matches because there were so many Chyna matches or moments. The moments with Eddie Guerrero, the matches with Chris Jericho, Jeff Jarrett, where she became the first woman ever to be Intercontinental Champion, which is something that I remember. But out of all the Chyna moments, one of the moments that is not really talked about by me a lot came in 1997 when I had the chance to get my first look at Chyna at a house show when Triple H was working against Dustin Rhodes under the in-ring name Goldust when they were feuding for the Intercontinental Championship. The one time that I saw Triple H and Rhodes work was not for the Intercontinental title, because I don't think either individual was Intercontinental Champion at this point in time. It was one of the main events of the house show that I had attended. But the one thing that I remember in July of 1997 was how Chyna never broke character from the time she came through the curtain and the time she left and went backstage behind the curtain. It was amazing seeing how Chyna did not break character from the time she came through the curtain and she went backstage. And I think that really is something that stood out about the match. It wasn't what Triple H and Rhodes were doing in the match, even though they had an incredible match that night. The thing was Chyna and Marlena. Their program on the outside of the ring was incredible, because if you remember, when Chyna made her debut in February of 1997, Marlena, Terry Reynolds, was one of the first individuals that Chyna attacked and made a beeline for when nobody knew who Chyna was and why she was showing up in the corner in support of Triple H. Now, I had the chance to speak to a lot of people. Although I never had the chance to speak to Chyna, I did attempt to try to get an interview with Chyna around 2008, 2009. That backfired on me, but I did have a chance to speak to a lot of people who had the chance to work with Chyna, especially Terry Reynolds, and I had the chance to speak to her about, what it was like working with her. And all the people that I had spoken to in the wrestling industry, from Road Dogg to Terry Reynolds, could never really find the words to describe to me really how they felt about working with Chyna. On time, she was one of the most unpredictable characters. You didn't know what she was going to do from one minute to the next. She was very volatile. On times, everybody knows about her issues with drug rehabilitation, her issues with Sean Waltman, so it was really hard for them to kind of put into words how they felt about working with Chyna. But every time something like this happens, it's like almost the words just come to you about how you feel about working with someone, and that's what we heard in the Chyna video package. That's what we heard from the tweets and the Instagrams from a lot of the legends Chyna had worked with, a lot of the people, the new generation that we've kind of come into with pro wrestling. It's like you just find the words after not having the words to say about this certain individual or this person that you may have worked with or known in the wrestling industry. The same thing can be said about the Ultimate Warrior. Nobody knew what to say about the Ultimate Warrior, for instance, for years, and when he died after being inducted into the Hall of Fame about 6 or 7 days, less than a week I think it was, he died of a heart attack or some kind of issue like that after he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Nobody knew what to say about the Ultimate Warrior, only the fact that he was one of the most unprofessional guys anyone could have ever gotten in the ring with. But after his death, it's like the words just came to people like Triple H, and they couldn't say enough good things about the Ultimate Warrior, and that kind of makes you wonder. But it's like, the words just came to people about Chyna. The emotion just poured out
people from the tweets, the video package, and I know for sure that she's going to be someone who is really going to be missed. Now, a lot of people will say the Intercontinental Championship reign that Chyna had gave us some of the best matches that Chyna had in her career, along with competing in the Royal Rumble match, becoming the first woman ever in history to do that prior to her elimination, which followed Chyna's entry by Stone Cold Steve Austin. A lot of people will say that Intercontinental title reign she had was the time that she gave us some of her best matches with the likes of Chris Jericho, Mark Henry, Hardcore and Crash Holly, Eddie Guerrero, and a lot of people will say that working with Eddie Guerrero is what really made Chyna stand out and gave us some of her best moments. But the thing is, I remember her women's championship reign from 2000 when she won the championship, I believe, at WrestleMania 17 from Ivory. I could be wrong about that, but the match was about 5 minutes. But what really stood out in the fallout the match with Ivory was the fact that Chyna had some of her best matches with the likes of Lita for the Women's Championship, and also people like Ivory who feuded with her long after becoming Women's Champion. So I think that, those matches really made Chyna stand out, in a division that nobody ever thought she would, be able to work with these women in because of her size, because of her agility, because of her power. But, making that transition from being a female competitor winning man championships like the Intercontinental title and having a WWE championship match even with Triple H, I believe, that was huge for Chyna, and she did a great job. She made a very successful transition, and that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. One match that I always remember and never will forget was from Judgment Day 1999-2000 when we saw Chyna compete against Lita for the Women's Championship. That exchange was incredible. They went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then Chyna won with the Chyna Bomb and retained the championship. And the show of respect between Amy Dumas and Joanie Laurer at the end, the match was incredible. The handshake, the respect really made the women's division at that point in time and within that era stand out, and goes a long way into redefining what the evolutionary process kind of looks like and what all these women went through. And it kind of makes you wonder, if these matches of Chyna did not happen, would we be seeing people like Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch and Paige, for instance, doing what they're doing? Charlotte as the new women's champion in the new women's division with the new look for the women's division, not referring to them as divas. Would we have gotten out of that point? That remains to be seen. And I don't think, even though it will be argued, we would have probably ever